dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right, hello everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right. So with that all been said, hey, Christy One Love, Just Anticipate, Pearly, Dangerous is here, G from the land. All right, the lovely T. Let's get into it. That Crazy Beach Aries. Nessie X is here. Okay. Cherokee Descended Dale, Andrea, Alice. All right, let's get into it. Byron Cook, Nessa G, Yvette. All right, Christopher Perkins, Buckhorse DC, Danielle. Vince I am from the UK, Yvette. Okay, Robert. Okay, so shout out to everybody in the chat and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, DJ Big Six. All right, y'all know I love me some Royals. I see you, OG Patrice, Sheila. Okay, and shout out to all of my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. But before we do, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. And she sells beard oil as well. All right, so with that all being said, let's get into it because it's all nefarious, beloveds. Hold on, let me get my glasses out. Okay. Now, first things first. Let's go to some of these posts that your president has been posting. Some of these posts your president has been posting. I'm going to share my screen. Now, this is what Trump posted. He says, if I didn't terminate Obama's horrendous Iran nuclear deal, a JCPOA, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon 3 years ago. That was the most dangerous transaction we have ever entered into. And had it been allowed to stand, the world would be an entirely different place right now. You can blame Barack Hussein Obama and sleepy Joe Biden. Thank you, President Trump. So he thanks himself. Now, what's interesting about this is the world is a different place thanks to him. Okay. And it looks like it's only going to get worse if he continues with his nefariousness. Okay. But let's continue. And we know that he cannot keep Obama's name out of his mouth. Now, here he is bragging about what they've done to Iran. Says, I have just been informed that we have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships, some of them relatively large and important. We're going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea also. In a different attack, we largely destroyed their naval headquarters. Other than that, their navy is doing very well. President Donald J. Trump. You know, this is so interesting to me that the president just posts all of this stuff on social media. He's obsessed. But what I want to show you all is also how this entire administration, as I've said before, and many of us have said before, they are so blatantly incompetent. Let me show you what they did. These people are complete idiots. Okay, it's not even funny at this point. So remember when they had what did they call it? Chatgate. I think they called it Chatgate. If you all remember when they said they were in a private chat and they released some information, I want to say it was Pete Hegseth with the stupid self, but they accidentally had a journalist who wasn't supposed to be there, Jeffrey Greenberg or something like that, and he had the information. Now they could have gotten soldiers killed because that was part of their not their war plans, but that was part of the information on their soldiers and everything, right? So now look what these idiots have done. This was on Facebook. It just goes to show that they don't have critical thinking skills. None of them do, not a one. Now look at all of them just sitting there. You see Rubio. Okay, look at Trump sitting there with that ugly hat on. Okay, now do you see the map in the background? You all see the map in the background? Okay, please pay attention to that map. Okay, now I'm going to show you a blown up version of that same map. Now look at this. Let me share my screen. This is what they posted to the White House's Facebook page, people. Now, look at this. Okay, this is the map. I've blown it up for you to see. As you can see in the corner, it says Operation Epic Fury. Okay, Operation Epic Fury, right? That's their war plans. Now, look at this. On the map, you can see all of their targets. You can see where their soldiers are. Do you see that? Now, his head's in the way, granted, but you can still see the plans. These people are idiots. How did they not pay attention to that? Okay, now if I saw that and noticed it, you don't think that the enemies did? They are so ridiculous. Okay, I just wanted to point that out real quick. Darn shame, but they think they're so smart. Okay, please pay attention. And now this is what someone posted. I'm going to see if I can verify this. I'm going to see if I can verify where Netanyahu is. Where is this itch Benjamin Netanyahu hiding in a German bunker while Israel's nuclear reactor power plant has been destroyed? Y'all hear that? Vince I am said they wanted that map to be seen allegedly. I hope they didn't. So they're saying Netanyahu's nowhere to be found while it all goes down. Now, here's the question I have. If this is true, why is ICE stockpiling weapons? What's that all about? This was a post from the New Republic. Trump's ICE is quietly stockpiling weaponry, okay, and it should alarm us all. Yeah, it definitely is alarming me. What is that all about? Okay, what is that all about? And let me just tell you all something, honey. I didn't get any sleep last night. Okay, shortly after I got off the live with you all last night, there was a power outage, but there was this loud boom, and then the power went out. And I was like, honey, what in the world is that? It was just pitch black, and it was some loud noise. That's what concerned me, was that loud noise. I'm like, honey, what's going on around here? Okay, Iran, don't come for us. Now, let's talk about Mr. Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, let's talk about it because Hakeem Jeffries has been caught funneling AIPAC cash into Democratic primaries. Okay, please pay attention. This is the word on the streets. Now, let me pull this up. DJ Big Six said the transformer shorted out. Is that what it was? Okay, beloved, thank you. The power came back on about 5:30 this morning. Okay, now, DJ Big Six said, I can't stand that bootlick. Isn't he, though? Okay, Todd French says, and the kicker is that Hillary got a lot of flack for Benghazi, and these fools have caused more casualties messing around with Netanyahu. Hashtag Cook Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Thanks for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Yeah, they did give her a lot of flack about that, right? Now look at this. DCCC rakes in millions from Palantir lobbyists as protests target the company's ICE surveillance tool. I found that very interesting. So we're going to go to a report. Here's my thing. Hakeem Jeffries needs to resign, or he needs to be taken out of office. That he needs to resign. Okay, they need new leadership because he's not cutting it, and Chuck Schumer needs to go too. Now, it says in January alone, more than a dozen lobbyists with firms representing Palantir bundled a combined $2.9 million for the DCCC, according to a newly filed FEC disclosure. The January haul from Palantir's lobbying firms represents 38% of the DCCC's total contributions for the month. Okay, do y'all hear this? And then we wonder why, the Dems weren't doing anything. Okay, I think we found our answer. Now, as I said, I'm going to go to this report that I found on Reddit. I'm going to use an overlay. Jay McClellan said Trump and most members of Congress need to go. They absolutely do. Okay, they absolutely do. Because they're not working for us. They're working for themselves to enrich themselves. Now, we expect the Republicans to do some shenanigans, pull shenanigans, okay, because they're down with Trump. Most of them anyway. But, this is why I continue to say it's both parties.
Primary of the 2026 season. To talk about that, we're going to be joined by two Davids, David Dayen and David Hogg. David Dayen is the executive editor of the American Prospect. David Hogg is the head of Leaders We Deserve, which is participating in a lot of these primaries around the country. Dayen, let's put A2 up there just to because David Dayen and I have been doing a bunch of reporting on the kind of secret AIPAC primary effort going on in Illinois, and we'll talk about that kind of on the back half of this program. We're also going to be joined by Nida Alam, who I interviewed. I pre-taped an interview yesterday.
A section of their website where they
sort of a literal red box around it,
where they sort of soft coordinate with super PACs and say, here's what voters need to know in this district. And she changed the language on her red box right before all this money came in. And previously, it just had sort of a generic message. And then you could almost see the 4-alarm fire in the red box. It was voters need to immediately hear that
like stop waiting.
That Nida Alam is getting $1 million from dark money, and Valerie Fouché won't be bought. It
Hilarious.
It was like such an urgent message. And now what we've seen in the week since is that those super PACs have delivered.
Valerie Fouché won't be bought. Please dump millions of dollars into this.
Please
campaign.
spend this money to tell people that I won't be bought.
So we can put up E1 here. This is a tweet from Dave Dayen, where you kind of spell out how badly she was actually getting outspent, which is extremely unusual for an incumbent publicly.
When you walk into a Burlington, you'll be
said that they're going to do 600,000, might be more if they can, if they can make it work. And so I wanted to talk about this PAC because this is an incredible one. So Fouché so she got the $2 million in AIPAC money. She then takes a bit of a turn after the genocide starts in Gaza, and says that she endorses the Block the Bombs Act, which is kind of the progressive caucus, and take you out anyway.
Ultimately, Nida's going to be here for the long haul, a lot longer than Fouché. You have to be that strong of a campaigner to win a lot of the time, especially if it's a crowded primary and you don't need to win by that much. In this case, we're dealing with a different district that also has had some of the most Doge cuts of any congressional district in the country, with a much more
This is Durham area, like
it's the Raleigh-Durham area. And on top of that, the district, because of the redistricting, as you mentioned, is significantly more South Asian than it was previously as well. And we're dealing with an electorate that is incredibly fed up with the state of the party right now.
All right. That's interesting that she is going for members of Congress, because that's like low-hanging fruit.
Less than 2 weeks before her
Less than
election.
2 weeks.
I'm going to stop right there because I don't know exactly where the timestamp is, but hold on. Okay, hold on, beloveds. This is iHip News.
We're in 2026, last month, you guys. More than a dozen lobbyists with firms representing Palantir bundled a combined $2.9 million for the DCC. According to a newly filed FEC disclosure, the January haul from Palantir's lobbying firms represents 38% of the DCCC's total contributions for the month. The corporate Dems are in on it. The fix is in.
Haven't I been telling you all this? Haven't I been telling you all this once in the chat? Once in the chat, because haven't I been telling you all this, that the Dems are in on it too? Well, I kept asking, what is Congress going to do? What are they waiting on? All they're doing is talking trash and complaining, but they're not doing a darn thing. They have to be in on the scam. Okay, they have to be in on the scam. And now here we are. They absolutely are. They've been caught and cold busted. Okay, they have been caught and cold busted. They done sold us out. Okay, please pay attention, but let's continue.
I don't want to hear from any progressive caucus member in the House that, oh, we support Hakeem Jeffries, because he doesn't support you.
Sure
he
doesn't.
is paid, controlled opposition, and we have to open up our eyes and be completely clear-eyed about this. I get no joy. I do not like this. I don't like the fact that the Democratic Party has shifted so much. They care more about Palantir than they do about American workers. And the lie with that is just it's even more diabolical, because at least we know Trump's a piece of shit. But the Democrats, at least get in front of a camera and say, we're going to service Palantir first, and we're going to service AIPAC first. We'll get to the people later. We'll throw in some harm reduction measures to make you all feel better. This is utterly disgraceful.
It certainly is. Okay, the nerve. But, at least now we know where we stand. Okay, at least now we know where we stand. Absolutely nefarious. Okay, please pay attention. Now, that all being said, I'm going to go to my TikTok that I did last night. Hold on. Let me share my screen. Okay, Nene said that isn't a surprise. Lindell said Jeffries a phony baloney. Okay. Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Trump has gotten us involved in a war that the United States is absolutely not going to win. Let's get into it. Iran has had major issues with the United States for decades, okay? And at the end of the day, so that means they've had plenty of time to practice. Also, let's not forget about the 12 days war back last June, okay? And with that all being said, that gave them, Iran that is, the opportunity to see how the U.S. and Israel strikes, okay? And then they've had the past 8 months to prepare for new strikes. Okay, please pay attention. Now, Pete Hegseth is trying to use this fact to paint the narrative that the war had already started and that Trump's just simply here to finish it. Well, if the war had already started, then why would Trump in 2011, 2012, and 2013 have accused President Obama of being the one who would start a war with Iran? He said that Obama would start a war with them to get reelected another time. He said that it was because he was not a good negotiator. Okay. And he also said another time that it was because he was down in the polls. Now, if you ask me, those are the reasons that Trump has started the war with Iran. Also at the behest of Bibi Netanyahu, in my opinion. And also the fact that, Trump wants us to be distracted from the Epstein files. He's done everything in his power to do so, to keep us distracted, to have other things coming up and arising. Okay. Even at the detriment to the citizens and damaging the global economy. Okay, please pay attention. Not to mention that Iran has been striking the GCC countries and going after their most significant infrastructures. And the next thing they're going to likely do is hit the water supply. And if they do that, well, they'll probably only have about a month before they run out of water. Okay, please pay attention. GCC consists of the 6 Arab countries that border the Persian Gulf. Okay, please pay attention. These are Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. Now, mind you, these countries supply the United States with crude oil, petroleum products, petrochemicals, basically supplying at least 12% of all U.S. oil imports. Okay, please pay attention. Now, they also export aluminum fertilizers, as well as increasingly strategic AI, technology, and cybersecurity. And also, a few hours ago, it came out from the Iranian state media that basically they're saying Iran did not strike the oil refinery in Saudi Arabia. They're saying that was Israel, which is crazy because aren't they all supposed to be on the same team? Okay, please pay attention. Because we already know that supposedly Saudi Arabia gave Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, $2 billion for one of his projects, okay, not too long ago. Okay, please pay attention. And if this is all true, why would Israel have struck Saudi Arabia's oil refinery? Okay, would it be to sow seeds of chaos? I mean, I just have several questions. Please pay attention. And also, what do we stand to gain? The U.S., that is. What do we stand to gain from this war? Okay, think about the GCC and all the things they supply to us. And if they are not able to do so, how do you think that's going to turn out? Okay, please pay attention. That being said, beloveds, we should all be on our knees praying. Okay, please pay attention. Okay, that's what we better be doing. Okay. But of course, DC says, I told y'all it's real. Okay, yeah, it absolutely is, beloved. Okay, and thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Rediary said Israel has been caught doing false flag ops in the past. Here's the thing. It's just very interesting because this is a whole proxy war. Okay, that's what this is. America should not have had anything to do with it. Okay, they should not have had anything to do with it, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, but Trump's going to bend the knee to Netanyahu. That's what he's going to do. And think about how Trump has publicly, have you all heard him? He's come out publicly on several occasions, just pretty much darn near begging the Israeli president, Isaac Herzog, to go ahead and give Benjamin Netanyahu a full pardon for his war crimes that he's accused of and his crimes against humanity. Okay, and this is why both Netanyahu and Trump are doing all of this, starting this whole war, because at the end of the day, neither one of them wants to go to prison. Okay, neither one of them wants to go to prison. All right, please pay attention. So this is what they'll do just to, get out of it. Hold on, beloveds. Now, and quite frankly, there are some people, Americans that is, stuck in Israel at this point. Okay, so we're going to get into that. And then there's, soldiers posting videos crying. I mean, it's just a whole lot. But now let's go to this clip. Let's go to this clip about impeachment. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Is actually the most impeachable thing that Donald Trump has ever done. I'm the former Secretary of State of Missouri, and before that, I was an Army intelligence officer in Afghanistan. Congress stands in for the people in this country, stands in as our voice. And that's why presidents are required to go to Congress to take huge actions like this war in Iran, not because Congress is so special, but because that requires presidents to go to the American people and make a case as to why they should allow their representatives, who they're going to elect every 2 to 6 years, to actually vote in favor of something like this. It's not like there's a draft where every American is feeling this as a result, and therefore going to hold the president accountable for decisions like this about the military. All you got to do is look back to the Iraq War to understand why this is so important. George W. Bush got Congress to approve. It turned out to be a really bad decision. But what happened as a result of that? It wasn't just George W. Bush, whose poll numbers cratered and that sort of thing. There were a lot of members of Congress who lost re-election as a result. And so at a time like this, where the president of the United States is a second-term, lame duck president who only cares about himself anyway, it's really important that our Constitution work the way it's supposed to, so that political risk gets spread across more than just the White House, so that a lot of Republican and even maybe some Democratic members of Congress have to stake their political careers on saying yes to something like this. If you look at the polls, the vast majority of Americans didn't want this war. And yet we're going into this war anyway. A lot of people are going to die, not just the American soldiers who have tragically lost their lives so far, but there's going to be lots of innocent civilians across the Middle East who have already died and who will die. And that's why it's so important that there be congressional authorization, because we have to have some check to keep presidents from just waging war because they feel like it without having to even justify it at all to the American people. Now, why do I think that this is the most impeachable thing he's ever done? Because he's gone completely against the people and seems to no longer care at all what we want. Look, the former leader of South Korea is in prison right now and was removed from office because he, for like a period of hours, put in place martial law. So yeah, I think that going to war without Congress, and in a war that is deeply unpopular, that you really never even bothered to try to convince the American people should be popular, yes, I think that is worthy of impeachment and potentially removal from office.
Absolutely it is. Okay. I mean, if you ask me, even when he was having those ships blown up, the airstrikes on those ships, okay, which were nothing more than people out there trying to make a living as fishermen, in my opinion, because he didn't give any proof that these people were actually smugglers, like he said. No one was actually in imminent danger except for the people in the ships, or the boats, basically, not ships, boats that he had blown up. But at the end of the day, that was impeachable as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Now, I want you all to pay attention to what Trump says in this clip.
ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. That's only for one reason, because they cheat. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. That's only for one reason, because they cheat.
Now, I wanted you all to hear that twice to make sure you got it. He said He said the only reason they wouldn't want you to get a voter ID is because they cheat. They want to cheat. Think about how Trump always accuses other people. He's always projecting. He's always literally accusing other people of the very thing that he is going to do. Okay, so he just told us that he's going to cheat. I want y'all to pay attention. That's literally what he just told us. Okay, because he always confesses through his accusations when he's talking about somebody else. That's what he does. Okay, so he just let us know that's what his whole plan is. Okay, we've already heard the rumors about ICE supposedly being at the voting polls. Okay, yeah, they're supposed to be at the voting polls to intimidate the immigrants, I'm sure, and probably some of the rest of us too. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Roddy said even a cow is smarter than Trump. Okay, this man is just ridiculous.
People here would support the SAVE Act, which requires proof of citizenship to register to vote and then voter ID to vote. So raise your hand if you'd be for the SAVE Act.
I think that the reality is, at least to my knowledge, and I would want to do more research into the act before I actually gave a definitive opinion, but to my knowledge, you already have to show those things to vote. You already have to have proof of citizenship to vote. And the reality is, I think that claims about people not having voter ID and people voting illegally are overblown and not statistically true.
But if it happens at all, is it a problem?
If it happens at all, yes. But is it a problem if, say, out of a nation of 300 million people, 3,000 people vote that don't have citizenship? Maybe if it swings an election, but the reality is I just don't think that that's true substantially.
How many people here would support the SAVE Act, which requires proof of citizenship to register to vote and then...
Now, what do you all think about that? What do you all think about that? You think people should be required to have proof of identification to vote? Let's go to this next clip.
Breaking election news that is not good. Donald Trump is promising to interfere in the fall elections, whether Congress lets him or not. Trump just announced that he is going to impose voter ID on American elections, whether approved by Congress or not. Legally, he cannot do that. Elections in America are governed by the states. States have predominant power to regulate their elections. Each state does it differently. Congress has some power legislatively nationwide for voter ID. It would have to be done by Congress. It could not be done by Trump unilaterally, but it's not going anywhere in Congress right now. Trump is declaring he's going to do it on his own. Guys, this is the nightmare scenario that people are worrying about, is that Donald Trump is going to interfere with the elections. Again, TikTok doesn't like it when we talk about these topics, but we are talking about a tweet by Donald Trump today saying he's going to have voter ID on his own, whether Congress approves it or not. The quote. If that happens, then we're not going to know who actually won the elections, and thus begins the nightmare scenario. We've got some breaking election news that is.
We already know what Trump is up to, okay? His plan is to absolutely cheat. Okay? That's exactly what his plan is. At the end of the day, he wants to stay out of prison, and he already knows where he's headed if they lose. I think it's going to be a whole mess. I think it's really not going to turn out good.
Exclusive news story with my colleague Vaughn Hilliard, focused on Trump's fixation over voter fraud and what might be next. Sources tell us the president is directing his White House counsel to explore an executive order that would require proof of citizenship for voter registration and photo identification at polling locations nationwide. It's something that could have a huge impact on the upcoming midterms. Let me explain. We all know that Trump has baselessly claimed that the 2020 election was rigged. A lot.
If the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged, it was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out.
We did much better, by the way, in the election of 2020 than we did in 2016.
It's a highly political situation. It's totally rigged. Smart people know it.
The people are very disappointed that we were robbed. We were robbed. I won that by hundreds of thousands of votes. Everybody knows it.
Exhaustive fact checks show that there was no widespread voter fraud in that election. But now Trump is looking to unilaterally rewrite those rules. Sources told us that Trump's legal team knows an executive order of this kind will run into all kinds of legal hurdles, and he's asked them to explore ways around them. Now, Trump has tried pressuring Congress to pass a similar looking piece of legislation, but the hopes of that bill, the SAVE Act, ever making it through the Senate seems increasingly small.
There aren't anywhere close to the votes, not even close.
Trump's fixation with false claims of widespread voter fraud have clashed with efforts by some White House aides to keep his midterm message focused on kitchen table concerns like affordability. And during a closed-door meeting of top White House aides and cabinet officials on Capitol Hill this month, Deputy Chief of Staff James Blair leveled with the group that it was unlikely that they'd be able to control Trump's messaging. His advice, let Trump be Trump and focus on delivering consistent, data-driven messaging on the trail.
You try and get your ID, you need 2 proofs of citizenship. Most of the time, or proofs of identification. Most of the time, it is a birth certificate.
Right.
And if you have a birth certificate, then you can use a utility bill. Neither one of those have your photo on it, I want to point out. If you don't have a birth certificate, you need like 5 forms of ID, which sometimes can be challenging. I'm telling you, as someone who had a grandmother who did not have her birth certificate, she was born in Panama City, Florida, okay? My mom had to call the Board of Elections in Panama City, Florida, to try and get proof of her birth. She is living, she is breathing, she is a Black woman, she has lived nowhere else than Youngstown. Well, that's not true, and a couple other cities, but primarily in Youngstown, Ohio. Do you know how they said that she could prove her ID? A family Bible. Now, you want to tell me a family Bible is how we are? That's the law in a state like Florida. Voter ID laws do raise the threshold and make it harder. There is a significant amount of Americans that don't have passports because they've never left the country. Passports are expensive. So if you want to pay for everyone to get a passport, great. Make it easy like that. Or they don't have access to the birth certificate, and it is not easy.
You should get access to your birth certificate.
Yes,
Word
but
to the wise.
what I'm
Everyone in
saying
America
is
should
it is
do the
not
work to get that.
easy to get access to your birth certificate because you need other forms of ID to get access to your birth certificate, but you can't get your birth certificate if you don't have those IDs, and you can't get those IDs if you don't have your birth certificate. So when you try and get your ID, you need 2 proofs of.
Okay, so now they want proof of citizenship, not just the ID. Okay, but now let's check this out. I want you all to pay attention to this video. They said Trump is the first Jewish president. Okay, I didn't know that Trump was Jewish. Did you all?
And I said, this is our first Jewish president. No, he's the first Jewish president to serve 2 non-consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
There are 474 members in the White House, and of that 474, there's 155 Jewish members. So that means there's 33% of Jewish members in the White House, but only 2% of Jewish people in America. So how do you think something like that could happen? Here's an idea.
I was offered $20 million to withdraw from the senatorial race and run against my friend Rashida Tlaib. The pro-Israel lobby will go to any length to remove anybody from the U.S. Congress that has any opposition to their agenda.
Now, are y'all listening? Do y'all hear this? Do you all hear this? Okay, people are being bought and sold. Okay, please pay attention. Anyone that opposes their agenda, this is what he says. He was offered money.
And their total, unequivocal support for Israel, good, bad, or indifferent.
CBS, look at all the news outlets. NBC, CNN. Okay. I'm sorry. Didn't Kanye say that? Isn't that what Kanye got in trouble for saying? I'm sorry. Please pay attention. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip of them talking about how Americans are being stuck in Israel. And I'm going to go to a young Black lady who actually lives in Israel, and she's been giving updates on what's going on.
That Americans in the Middle East are facing. The US government is advising them to leave the Middle East now, but the government is saying they can't help and that it's at people's own risk. There clearly wasn't a plan in place for this. The US Embassy in Israel, for example, is saying it's not in a position at this time to evacuate or directly assist Americans in departing Israel. They say people will have to make their own security plans. They point out that Israel is laying on shuttle buses to the border, but that the US Embassy can't make any recommendations for or against taking those buses. They say if you choose to avail yourself of this option to depart, the US government cannot guarantee your safety. The information is provided as a courtesy to those wishing to leave Israel. They also add that security conditions can change without warning, closing any border crossing. Note that the countries that people might be leaving Israel to go into are also under attack by Iran.
Okay, I mean, think about that. Just imagine if that were you. Okay, just imagine if that were you at the end of the day. And here's the thing. Now, it's important to note that the reason this is a whole proxy war is because the fighting has been indirect through intermediaries. Okay, for example, when Iran and Israel engage in more direct hostilities, such as missile exchanges or military strikes against each other, against each other's clearly identified forces, okay, or territory, analysts have described it as a more conventional conflicts, okay, in some cases rather than a proxy war. But nonetheless, it's basically when you get other people to do your dirty work. Okay, when you don't do it directly, you're in a war, but you get other people in the middle and have them carrying it all out. Okay, because that's exactly what they've been doing. They've had both Israel and Iran have, been fighting through allied militant groups and regional proxies. And in Israel's case, they've got Trump bringing the U.S. into it, who had nothing to do with it at all. How is this going to benefit us? This is going to really disrupt our economy. Okay? What's going to happen when Iran hits the water supply over there in the GCC, and then they can't get the crude oil and all the petroleum products and all these things, the aluminum fertilizers and different things that are supposed to be, supplied to the U.S.? How do you think that's all going to fare for us? Gas prices are going to go up, groceries, everything, okay? So anyway, with that all been said, let's go to this clip of this young Black woman, like I said, that lives in Israel at the moment.
So I am an American right now in Israel. And if you guys haven't known or don't know yet, but Israel has striked Iran, and Iran has told them multiple times, if you in the United States strike us, we're going to strike out back. So I was laying down this morning and I'm on the phone with my boyfriend. I'm like, baby, I think I hear some sirens. What is that? So sure enough, I start getting 12 different emergency alerts on my phone, telling me, hey, shelter in place, a warning, WAR warning, all this stuff. And then my team calls me, lets me know what the deal is. And so we are kind of at a stalemate. They closed the airspace, so I cannot leave. I am just laughing through it, but I am scared. I am nervous, but I wholeheartedly believe that I will be okay. And right now I'm currently packing a small bag to go shelter in place because another emergency alert said shelter in place in roughly 5 minutes. So I'm going and I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep you guys updated, praying everything is going to be okay.
Now, I'm just wondering, I wanted to ask her why she's in Israel, why she lives there. I mean, but she seems to travel a lot because there was videos of her in Thailand and other places, but she was visiting those places. But she said she's living in Israel. So I don't know if that's permanent. I just wonder why she's there. Because if I were, well, I am a Black American, but there's no way I would live in Israel, okay, under any circumstances, unless they just took everybody that's there now out and started fresh. Okay, please pay attention. Now, this is someone who says their parents are stuck there in Jerusalem and they're from Utah.
Holy cow. Here comes another missile. Oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, this is surreal. I've never experienced this.
Okay. Absolutely nefarious. Hey, DSB beloved. Thanks for tuning in and thank you for being a member for 18 months. I appreciate you. Okay, so now let's continue. And Jay McClellan said, you would never go there. Okay, please. Absolutely not.
It's Monday again, and I, like the rest of us, have to go to work like World War III is on the brink of starting. The thing that you guys all need to understand is even with Iran, in 1950, we took out their government at that time, their democratically elected government, and we put in the current government that they have been using for the past 76 years. And now we are going to sit there and blame them because their government isn't, is a terrorist group or whatever the fuck we're calling it. No, we have always wanted to extract the oil that is in that area, and they have always run a government that is different than our government, and they're Islamic. And generally speaking, the Western culture does not like Islamic culture. That's why in 1948, when the UN voted on Israel, the only countries that voted the right way were the 13 Muslim countries that were allowed to vote. Fucking learn history and get the fuck out of this propaganda and this patriarchal colonial bullshit, please. We must all understand.
He said we must all understand it if we're going to save ourselves. People need to pay attention, okay, to the ones of us that are talking like that. All right? Do you all realize the magnitude of what they're trying to do? Just remember what happened in Germany in 1945. Okay? Because I'm telling you, that's what it's looking like. Okay? That's what it's looking like. Are we going to be blindly led, okay, as sheep to the slaughter? Or are we going to take a stand? Don't forget, March the 7th, everybody needs to take a stand, period. Okay? The boycott's coming. Now, with that being said, this poor little soldier right here, she's crying. Okay? They've got these people over there losing their lives all because Trump wants to be bowing down to the wrong folk.
I just need to say hi. I miss home so much. It's hard out here. I'm trying to stay strong. I really am. I'll be okay.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart, honey, okay? And I'm going to tell you something else. Y'all are crazy if you think that only 4 to 6 of our soldiers have been killed. Okay? If you think that only 4 of our soldiers have been killed, please think again, because I assure you they're lying. Okay? I assure you they're lying. They are lying. There's way more than 6. I promise you that. I'll bet you. I'm willing to bet money. Okay? I'm willing to bet money. Now let's continue. Here we go. Hold on, let me read this comment. Albie Chill said, my G-Ma was German. Before she passed, she told me America reminds her of early Germany when small mustache man took over. That's what it's reminding me of. And I wasn't even there, but I sure have read and researched about it. And that's exactly what it sounded like.
Tomorrow night will begin the festival of Purim. Jews around the world will read the book of Esther, how an evil, despotic Haman plotted to wipe out the Jewish people and failed. resulting in his own death by hanging. For decades, our two ancient civilizations, Persia and the Jews, have both been terrorized by the same radical terror-sponsoring regime. The brave Iranian people are the Islamic Republic's first victims, and Israel is its second. Israel's current military operation, Roaring Lion, is not just an act of preemptive self-defense to dismantle a genocidal nuclear and missile threat. They are strikes against tyranny. As Israel's Mossad recently told the Iranian people, our Iranian brothers and sisters, you are not alone. Together, we will return Iran to its glorious days. We know what Iran once was and what it could be again. We look forward to the day when this oppressive Islamic regime is thrown into the dustbin of history. We can proudly wave the Israeli and Iranian flags side by side in a free Tehran. The future does not belong to those who rule through fear. It belongs to those who build with hope. We stand ready to welcome a free, democratic Iran into a new era of regional peace through the soon-to-be Cyrus Accords. Cyrus boldly freed the Jewish people from the bondage of the Babylonians. Israel is now repaying that debt by freeing the Iranian people from their bondage. Chag Purim Sameach, a happy Purim to all.
Okay, did y'all hear that? So I guess they're on the same side. Please make it all make sense. And here's the thing. C-Stan just gifted 5 memberships to the channel. Thank you, beloved. I really appreciate you. You all shout out C-Stan for being so generous, okay? And especially those of you who benefit from the memberships. Now, I find this also interesting. So he's acting as though they're allies with Iran. And notice he said Persians. Well, you know, the Persians, for those of you who don't know, the Persians are the Iranians, the same people. Iran was formerly Persia. Okay? So here's what I find interesting. Hold on, let me pull up this clip. Now, I want you all to hear this because I thought this was absolutely crazy. I'm going to go to this clip. And there is a man by the name of Norman Finkelstein doing an interview with a guy from Young Turk. And he says it's okay to eat babies. Yeah, that's what he said. I'm not making this up. I wish I were. But this is what he said. I'm going to go to the footage. Now, mind you, I'm going to use an overlay because I don't have permission to be using this clip. But listen to what he says. He says it's like it's just perfectly fine.
Their beliefs, right? So, why can't we eat babies? What's wrong with eating babies? If we've got extra babies around that nobody wants, why can't we eat them, right?
I'm really worried about that line of thinking. I think that's wrong, and I think it's a little dangerous. It sounds almost.
You're not imagining. You're just not imagining those circumstances.
No. So let me clarify because this is important, right? So it has such terrible consequences, both in terms of what we are doing to our captors and what we are doing to our own morality, and the message we're sending to the rest of the world about whether we're good guys or bad guys. That I wouldn't do it. I might not do it even if I thought that it was absolutely going to work. And I don't think it is. It's very unlikely. Right? It's that once you start, no, it's not. That's why you've got to avoid those beginnings to avoid those endings. They never started little and remained little. It always starts a little bit, and then they're drawing and quartering.
You are ignoring half of my argument, which is, I'm arguing in most cases it's not psychopathology.
That seems like an incredible excuse for it.
No. Sam Harris can't figure out why we can't eat babies, right?
Y'all see the knife and fork? Now, here's the thing. He was speaking metaphorically, I'm sure. But why would he use that terminology? Okay, why would he use that terminology? I find that all interesting, don't you? And you know by his last name, okay? I just find it all interesting. I don't like that term, eating babies. You know how they say America eats its babies? Where do y'all think that came from? Where do y'all think that came from at the end of the day? Okay, that's absolutely nefarious. As far as I'm concerned, absolutely crazy. Jay McClinton wants me to play it again. Hold on, I will. Now, like I said, he's clearly, in my opinion, speaking metaphorically, but just the fact that that's what you chose to say, especially with the Epstein files out. Okay, please make it all make sense.
Babies around that nobody wants, why can't we eat them, right?
Hold on, let me start it back because I had the volume off.
I'm really worried about that line of thinking. I think that's wrong, and I think it's a little dangerous. It sounds almost.
You're not imagining. You're just not imagining those circumstances.
No. So let me clarify because this is important, right? So it has such terrible consequences, both in terms of what we are doing to our captors and what we are doing to our own morality, and the message we're sending to the rest of the world about whether we're good guys or bad guys. That I wouldn't do it. I might not do it even if I thought that it was absolutely going to work. And I don't think it is. It's very unlikely. Right? It's that once you start, no, it's not. That's why you got to avoid those beginnings to avoid those endings. They never started little and remained little. It always starts a little bit, and then they're drawing and quartering.
You are ignoring half of my argument, which is, I'm arguing in most cases it's not psychopathology.
That seems like an incredible excuse for it.
No. Sam Harris can't figure out why we can't eat babies, right?
Your beliefs, right? So
why can't we?
Like I said, that's a Jewish scientist by the name of Sam Harris. Okay, I just thought his choice of words was very interesting right there. Okay, very interesting. Now let's talk about ICE. Why are they stockpiling these weapons? Let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, y'all see that? Trump's ICE is quietly stockpiling weaponry, and it should alarm us all. Well, I am alarmed. Okay, I mean, we've seen the damage they can do and how they escalate situations rather than de-escalate, and how they don't give a darn about the Constitution or anyone's rights. Okay, how they do things without having any sort of warrants or whatever, target people by racially profiling and all of the above. Okay? In addition to staffing up at a furious rate, ICE and CPB are acquiring a vast cache of weapons from private contractors, okay, according to new data. Now, this will not end well or anytime soon. The forever wars abroad and the global war on terror after the September 11 attacks left behind a long trail of failure, disillusionment, and death. But they also funneled huge sums of taxpayer money to companies that supplied the equipment that made all that destruction possible. That resulted in windfalls for GOP-connected companies and fueled a massive private-public bureaucracy that grew harder to rein in and metastasized to monstrous proportions. Now, something like this is happening again in a different theater of operations. You see, Donald Trump's campaign of violent mass deportations is the problem. Okay, it's becoming its own forever war. It could drag on for years or decades without success. It's producing misguided military occupations of restive local populations. It has launched a huge arms buildup, and it also has what might be termed its very own war profiteers. So, to wit, a handful of private companies that manufacture weaponry and ammunition have already inked very lucrative contracts with the Department of Homeland Security. Okay, please pay attention, which will provide it with enormous stockpiles of military-style equipment, some to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. This is all according to data from Senator Adam Schiff's office, which is probing DHS contracts. Now, the pileup of all that equipment hints at a major long-term problem. just as we saw in the long aftermath of September the 11th. This new and evolving MAGA terror bureaucracy will expand in grotesque ways. It too will grow less constrained as it amasses more troops and more firepower. A harrowing glimpse of this future lies in a new report by Schiff that has gotten surprisingly little notice. See, no one's paying attention. Now, it finds that immigration and customs enforcement and customs and border protection have formally approved contracts for at least a whopping $144 million in weapons, ammunitions, and other accessories during Trump's first year alone. Now, the analysis based on government contracting data documents at least a fourfold increase for ICE and doubling for CBP, okay, relative to 2024, including that this will build a heavily armed domestic police force. So it's eye-opening stuff, okay? They say one ICE contract is with Giselle Automatics for millions of dollars worth of precision long guns and accessories to support armed agents and other ICE operations, according to Schiff's report. Now, this involves an unknown number of Giselle Border Patrol rifles, the report notes, describing this weapon as an AR-style rifle with military specifications. Now, CBP contracted for millions of dollars more in rifles as well. ICE and CBP also contracted with Glock for millions of dollars in handguns and accessories. And this is all according to the report. Now, taking all these contracts together, the report starkly concludes that ICE and CBP have together placed orders to purchase thousands of new high-powered lethal weapons at taxpayers' expense. While we're all sitting up here having a struggle, I want y'all to pay attention. Now, there's still more, mind you. The report documents ICE and CBP contracts totaling more than $30 million in ammunition and more than $25 million in contracts for the non-lethal weapons. That's not a reassuring description. You see, they include tasers, pepper spray, and tear gas canisters. So in short, we're looking at a massive stockpiling of weapons that will be in ICE's and CBP's possession for years to come. And someone is supplying all of that equipment. Okay, now at my request, Schiff's office analyzed contracting data that it collected to determine which companies are the top ICE and CBP contractors. Okay, and so I'm going to show you this graph because they requested the info on this. So I'm going to share my screen. Like up, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, can you all see this? Okay, see that? Quantico Tactical Incorporated, 16.35 million. Giselle Automatics LLC, 12.20 million. Axon Enterprise Inc., 11.81 million. And Glock Inc., 8.72 million. And these are dollars. Okay? Now, that all been said, these particular contracts are mostly for small arms, including AR-style rifles, ordnance, ammunition, and related accessories like gun sights and suppressors, according to Schiff's office. A subcategory includes pepper spray, tasers, tear gas, and other non-lethal weaponry. So these contracts expose how the DHS has set in motion a massive surge in spending to put even more dangerous weapons in ICE and CBP's arsenal. This is what Schiff said to a statement that he emailed to the person who wrote this article. Okay, so don't y'all find this very troublesome? This misuse of taxpayer dollars to maximally arm federal immigration agents, including those with questionable vetting and insufficient training, has to end. Now listen, they've already been out here killing people for no good reason. They've already been out here harassing and brutalizing people and all of the above. Okay, even attacking women and disabled people as well. So with that all being said, why do they need all of these weapons? What is going on here? Is Trump about to send them to war with the citizens? Because that's what it's giving. That's what it's giving. Okay, please pay attention. Hold on. Did somebody say Sidney Dorsey died? Oh, he did? Thank you for giving me that information, beloved. I'll look into it in just a second. Okay, now, here's what they say. ICE, of course, and hold on, let me just say this. These people are absolutely not getting the proper training because they're saying that they're being trained for 47 days. Okay, like the number president that Trump is. Okay. 47 days. These contracts expose how DHS has set in motion a massive surge in spending to put even more dangerous weapons in ICE and CBP's arsenal. Now, ICE, of course, has long been an overly militarized agency, including under Democratic presidents. But under Trump, this has escalated dramatically. ICE aims to continue vastly expanding its recruiting, fueled by tens of billions in new federal dollars. And under Trump, this bureaucracy is unshackling itself in fresh ways, conducting warrantless arrests, expanding surveillance capacities, and building an archipelago of enormous new prison camps. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Now, see, this is what I told you all. These are concentration camps, okay? These are concentration camps. At the end of the day, what do they need all of these weapons for? That's what I would like to know. That's what I would like to know. Hold on, beloveds. Go. Okay, that was that word. I mispronounced it. Archipelago. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, in a sense, we're seeing yet more cancerous growth of the post-September 11th national security bureaucracy, but with a more intensified inward focus. Now, DHS, which was created after September the 11th, has long had a domestic anti-terror component, but now Trump has supercharged its role as a mass immigrant expulsion operation that is unleashing violence towards U.S. citizens and even killing them. Okay, while operating with near total impunity among American populations, which Trump officials openly describe as a good thing. Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. Yeah, they absolutely want us to think it's a good thing. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to a few more clips. Lights up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloved. Okay, sorry about that, beloveds. I was trying to find my video clip. Okay, here we go. Now, this man is talking about racism within policing, which we all know as being Black people. We already know about it, but he did a little experiment to prove his point.
Plate tabs. These are mine from a year ago when I decided to start an experiment to see how long I, as a white dude, could drive around without them and not get pulled over. Last year, working all the way across town 5 days a week, driving through 4 or 5 different police jurisdictions, I was never stopped or questioned once. But please do keep telling us that there's no racial or class bias in policing. I bet if I started riding my bike around with a gun on me, nobody would call. But in the past couple of years, GRPD has killed on 2 out of 3 calls for simply being Black and having a firearm, supposedly in a state where that in itself is not illegal. Speaking of racism, let's talk about dogs. As a white guy from the South, I gotta say that when I see a Black man running away having dogs sicked on them, it's reminiscent of the plantations of the old South with an E. Delbert, release the hounds, that boy's running. I concur with those who've called for drastic change in the dog policy at GRPD. I also join with those who are very tired of listening to a group who doesn't even rank among the top 15 to 20 most dangerous professions bellyache about how they supposedly feared for their lives while nestled snug in their body armor. Mayor, you urged people last night to have ideas rather than just complaining. But ideas are always rebuked by cops as a coddled class, hiding behind endless excuses, red tape, assorted jingoistic mythos, and an endless pecker-measuring machismo. Look, David, I get it. You're insulted and maybe a little butthurt that people like me will come up here and get on you about your promises. I saw the Facebook unfriending. I read the cold, stoic handshake a couple of weeks ago. But you're the one that promised to take on policing as an issue in your campaign and that we shouldn't be arresting people all the time for every little thing. And then you went and made a video carrying water for exactly that. Nobody's trying to belittle progress on stuff like financial disclosures, but I can guarantee you that has never saved a life. And imagine how much faster you could move if you stopped caring about wealthy puppet masters and feelings and egos in this building. Besides, until financial disclosure for all those appointees is a thing, this is nothing but political theater. So I reiterate my question from last night that you dodged about your personal political capital. You're unique. You can push back. You're better equipped than any prior mayor to throw some elbows. What keeps you from flexing? Make it make sense.
Okay, I'm gonna need him to make it make sense too. Okay, and shout out to him for doing his due diligence. That's how you use your privilege. Okay, please pay attention. That's how you use your privilege. Okay, and Robert says we already know about the privileges. Exactly. But it's good when they call it out. Okay, now let's go to this black woman. I want you all to pay attention because you all know, those of you who've been following who followed the spiritual channel, you know how I talk about how we cast spells with words, right? You know I've done multiple videos on that, even on this channel. And but with that being said, I want you all to listen to what this woman said, or what she says rather. Because to me, I don't really agree with her. Even though she's right about the words casting spells and all of that. But let's get into it.
I gotta show y'all because y'all motherfuckers got on here, listen to what I said, let it go in one ear and out the other, and y'all doubled down on this Black history shit. Do you understand that the wording that you're using is a spell that is continuing to perpetrate the erasure of the indigenous Black Americans? To celebrate is to perform publicly. Celebrate, to acknowledge a significant happy day or event with a social gathering or enjoyable activity. Also to perform a religious ceremony publicly. This is where they get celebrity from. These are people that perform for the public. History is a narrative of events. It actually represents something that has passed, something that is no longer active, something that is not in existence. History, the study of past events, particularly in human affairs, which is like medieval European history, things that do not exist anymore. I just want y'all to see this. I don't be talking out the side of my neck. I really be researching this shit before I speak it out my mouth. There's a real reason why they tell you to celebrate your Black history and not your heritage. Heritage denotes your legacy. The erasure is real. All of this shit is purposeful. This is by design. This is not a coincidence. These words are purposefully used in regards to us. And I want y'all to understand, I'm not telling y'all that the history doesn't exist. I'm not telling you that the history is not important. I'm telling you it is not something that you celebrate. You celebrate your heritage. You celebrate your lineage because you are still alive. You do not celebrate your history because you still exist. You are not history. Then
Do y'all hear this? Okay, so I'm sorry, that was an epic fail. Now, to me, in my opinion, you know, you all could disagree, but to me, that is just preposterous. Okay, I'm sorry. She is telling us not to celebrate our history. Now, we know what the word celebrate means and ceremony and all of these things. Okay, I've told you all this a myriad of times, but here's the thing. So she's saying we're not history. No, we're not history, but we one day will be history. But that doesn't mean that our history that is behind us is supposed to be ignored or forgotten and that we shouldn't celebrate it. Because here's why. We should always celebrate people who risked their lives and fought and died for our freedoms that we have today, like Dr. Martin Luther King, like Malcolm X, like Medgar Evers. Okay? We should always celebrate these people. She is just trying too hard. Let me tell you something. She's somebody. I'm going to tell you what this is. I can spot these people from a mile away. I can spot these people from a mile away. She is a person who just got woke. Okay, that's what it is. She's someone who just started researching. I can tell by her gold teeth. Okay, I can tell by those 5 gold teeth she has at the bottom of her mouth. She just started reading, okay? She just started paying attention, and now she thinks she can school people. That's what that is. Let me give you an example of someone else who did that. I can always tell these people. There was a guy on the internet some years ago, and he was talking about the tetragrammaton, right? And he was trying to explain to us what it was, and he called it what did he call it? He called it a pronunciation or something like that. Okay, he called it a pronunciation. Now, you know the Hebrew name of God transliterated into 4 letters. Okay, YHWH, or in some cases JHVH. Okay, but articulated as Yahweh or Jehovah. Okay, that's a tetragrammaton. Now, with that all being said, he was trying to break it down to us on Facebook, honey, and this was years ago. And then he said, oh, it's a pronunciation. And then, meanwhile, he's trying to charge us $150 to take his class. I said, beloved, I don't think that you're skilled enough or equipped with the knowledge to be charging anyone, okay, $150 when you yourself just said this was called a pronunciation. Beloved, it's a tetragrammaton, okay? Now, if I'm not charging people $150 for class and I have much more knowledge than you, sir, you should not be doing anything at this point, okay? Go back and keep researching and reading, and then when you get up to par, then try to teach a class, okay? I can always spot these people from a mile away. She likely either heard someone else talking about that and thought she's going to take it a notch further and make it try to go deep, okay? Oh, we shouldn't be celebrating our history because you're saying you're happy about it. Well, yeah, I am happy about it. I'm happy that my ancestors fought for us. I'm happy that Dr. King took a stand for us and then he realized that he was wrong and led us into a burning house and he owned up to it. I'm thrilled that Malcolm X did what he did, okay, and that he said by any means necessary and that he never bent, bowed, or broke. I'm proud of that. I'm happy about it. And yes, I'm going to celebrate it. What is she talking about? She sounds ridiculous, but what's even more sad is that people like Monique, the actress, Monique was like, y'all listen to her, my sweet babies. Monique's falling for it. You see, at the end of the day, when you really understand and know the etymology of words and how we cast spells with them, then you can talk about it. Okay, then you can talk about it. Yes, she lacks discernment. Robert, you hit the nail on the head. Okay, she lacks discernment because that's what you need. Okay, now, and since we're talking about it, let's just talk about a few words that we should pay attention to. This is why I say grand rising. I don't say good morning because morning pertains to death and you being said, of course, when someone is dead, that's morning. Okay. And then, you know, when someone dies, you may go view their body at awake. And when we get up in the morning, we say we've awakened. Okay. Then when we die, we go to the undertaker and you go to work, and the task that you have to do, that you're delegated to do at your job, is called undertakings. And then we have to earn a living wage, and the wages of sin is death. And then when you die, if you're cremated, they put your remains in an urn. You know, we know all of this because I have told you all this well for years. But with that all being said, like I told you, this is someone who's just learning, you know, this information, and she's just trying to get on there and act like she knows what she's talking about. And girl, you don't. Okay, you don't. And that's just what it is. All right? That's just what it is. I'm sorry. And this is why I just don't listen to certain people. Okay, this is why I can't take certain people seriously. Because, for example, if you're someone who's trying to give people knowledge and education and you're cursing every 3 seconds, I'm not going to listen to you. Because all of the cursing that you do is distracting me from what you're trying to give. And if you are trying to give knowledge and information, then maybe you shouldn't be cursing so much. Now, if you say a curse word every now and then, that's one thing. But to just be spewing continuous curse words, I can't listen to you. Because that lets me know that you have no decorum. That lets me know that you don't know how to conduct yourself in a professional manner that would warrant people wanting to listen to you. Okay? So I can't deal with those people, and I can't deal with people like her because she clearly doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay, she absolutely has no discernment, Robert, and thank you for pointing that out. All right. So I just thought it was interesting. But now let's talk about Jim Carrey. Because Jim Carrey came out the other day at an award show, I believe it was, and people are saying that that's not him. But before we go to that, let's go to this. Because there was an interview that Jim Carrey did some years ago, and they say that after he did this interview, he was replaced. Now, y'all know they say they be cloning folk. Mm-hmm. Y'all know they say they be cloning folk. All right. So that all being said, let's get into it. Because as I told you all, those of you again who follow the spiritual channel, this information that Jim Carrey is speaking about, I've taught you all this on the spiritual channel. It is called the Christ within energy, or some call it the Kundalini energy. And I actually first heard of this from Jim Carrey. Okay, he was giving us the information that Hollywood and others didn't want us to ever know. This is esoteric knowledge and information. Now, with that being said, after I heard Jim Carrey speak about it briefly during an interview, I took a deep dive, and this was years ago. I took a deep dive and started doing all the research on it. That's how I acquired all of this information. I started researching people like Santos Bonacci, okay? People like Bill Donahue, not Phil Donahue, but Bill, people like Jordan Maxwell. I started, researching these people's information or researching their works to get more knowledge and information on this. And now I teach this myself. So, but I want you all to listen because they say this is why they think Jim Carrey was replaced. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Buckhorse DC said you can't clone him. Okay, Buckhorse DC, beloved, I don't think anyone would dare want to clone you, beloved, okay? I don't think anyone would want to clone you, beloved. All right, I love you, but I darn sure couldn't dare to have two of you. That would be more than I could bear. Please pay attention.
I am telling you right now, that back there is not real.
If I showed you what I've already seen people do when the pineal gland is activated, you would understand why Hollywood tried to silence me.
Now, hold on. Let me just say this. This video is AI. Okay, this is an AI video. This is not really Jim Carrey talking. I know his voice. But what he is saying in the video, even though it's AI, is absolutely factual. Okay, it's absolutely factual. Now, I'm inclined to think that they put this AI video out there so people wouldn't take the knowledge that he's spewing seriously. I don't know, but I find it interesting because there's actually a real video of him saying this. So where's that video? Why would they post the AI video? There was no need to, because I saw the real video years ago. But, however, this video is much more detailed. Okay, but let's continue.
When this inner eye opens, a human being gains access to things most people believe are science fiction. Clairvoyance, telekinesis, manifestation through the power of the mind. And I know it sounds crazy, I know, but this isn't a movie. The CIA has been using this for decades. I saw things I should never have seen. I was in places I should never have been. And for 17 years, I stayed silent. Parties at the Rothschild mansions in Waddesdon, solstice meetings with the Rockefellers at Bohemian Grove. I saw with my own eyes how 13 families control 8 billion people. Banks, media, governments, everything. And do you know what the objective is? Just one, to keep everyone blind, weak, and obedient. That's how they've stayed at the top for 300 years. And to make sure no one could activate this eye naturally. In 1958, the Rockefellers approved the Food Additives Amendment. They gave companies permission to put additives in the food of every American, saying it was to preserve food. But it was never about preservation. It was about calcifying the pineal gland of the entire population. They don't want superhumans. They don't want people with real abilities. They want us dumb, distracted, trapped inside the system they created. And let me ask you something. Do you really believe these people would still be in power if our pineal glands were functioning at 100%? Of course not. It's obvious. In 1954, the CIA received a mission from the Rockefeller family, find out whether a human being could develop spiritual abilities. And almost no one knows this, but 1 year later, in 1955, a silent race began. Germany, England, the United States, everyone chasing the same goal, activate the third eye, and create real super soldiers. And it was a CIA agent who found the technique and delivered it to the most powerful family in the world. The mission was a silent success. And since then, they've kept it secret. Today, only 3% of Americans have their third eye activated. I shouldn't be saying this here, but there is a private video circulating online that only a few people can see, where a former CIA agent explains exactly how anyone can activate the pineal gland and open the third eye in 3 minutes. If you find that video, watch it until the end and learn it.
Okay, he's absolutely talking about the Christ within energy. All right. So with that all being said, now, did you all notice how he looked in the first, when they showed the picture of him? Okay, that did not look like Jim Carrey. It looked like someone who got some facial work done, maybe. It just didn't look like the normal Jim Carrey. But let's go to the next clip. And also, let me say this. I said that the things he said in that video were true. Well, here's the thing. I don't know about the part about Bohemian Grove and the Rothschilds or whatever. I don't know if that part is true because I never heard Jim Carrey say that out of his own mouth, and it is AI. But, and you know, the devil mixes lies with the truth to confuse you. Okay, please pay attention. So that could be part of the little trick that they're trying to pull to fool us into thinking this isn't real information, but it absolutely is. Now, as far as him talking about activating the third eye, that's activated and opened when you activate the pineal gland, okay? When this oil comes from the colostrum, which is in the brain, okay, that travels down the 33 vertebrae of the spine, and the 33 vertebrae of the spine represents the fact that Jesus died at the age of 33. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. Maybe I'll talk about it on this channel at some point. I think I already have before, but maybe I'll talk about it for the new people or post the video that I have on the spiritual channel. Who knows? But anyway, I want you all to pay attention to how Jim Carrey looks markedly different, and people just don't think this is him. They think that he was replaced. Okay, you see that? Jim Carrey mystery solved. The real Jim comes forward. The mystery's finally solved, basically. Okay, so let's get into it.
It's finally been solved on who Jim Carrey was that appeared in front of us, or was it? Everybody, myself included, has been losing our collective minds knowing that's not Jim, allegedly. Something has allegedly happened. So exactly who was that we saw the other night at the Cesar Awards? This man has come forward, the Alexis Stone, and he has taken credit for it and says he has proof he was there. But I'm not buying it. All over Twitter, people are saying, look, he put up proof. They didn't really put up proof. All he did was put up a mask and some dentures. Now, he is known to go out and do very elaborate costumes and imitate people, and some of them quite well, as you can see. But that doesn't equal proof that that was Jim Carrey. Also, Jim Carrey was there for a few days, and we saw Jim Carrey going in and out with his family, his kid, his grandkid. So you're telling me that whole time the Alexis Stone was Jim? Not to mention Jim hasn't said a word about this at all. So where is Jim allegedly? These videos are all allegedly for entertainment purposes only. No facts. None of this is real.
Now, so with that all being said, here's the thing. Let's go to my friend Secret Service Sam, because he says that Jim Carrey's publicist says that was him. Okay? I don't know if the publicist is telling the truth, but I'm just telling you that's what he supposedly said. Let's go to the footage.
Jim Carrey's publicist has just confirmed that it is Jim Carrey. Okay, he was at the Cesar Awards in Paris, France. The internet has been amok with conspiracy theories that this was not Jim Carrey. They said Jim Carrey even said, if I ever come out of retirement, you know it's not me. Well, it has been confirmed that it is, in fact, Jim Carrey. Comedian John Campanelli has confirmed on his Instagram he used to date Jim Carrey's Jim Carrey's daughter. And he had confirmed with her that it was, in fact, Jim Carrey. So what do you guys think? Are you still not buying it that it was Jim Carrey? You know, is this not fitting your narrative like a glove? I don't know. But I'm just here to let you guys know what's the haps on the craps. So for LA Magazine, this is Secret Service Sam and Samson for president of the.
Okay, now with that all being said, it looks like he got some fillers in his face. Possibly. But, you know, we don't know. Because at the end of the day, I find it very suspicious, too, that he looks, you know, so different. And here's the thing. Even if that was not him, would his publicist really admit it? I don't think so. Okay? I don't think so. Very interesting, though. All right. So anyway, with that all being said, Soul Sister said not buying it. Okay. Denise King said the fans know Jim Carrey. Okay. Nubia Sita says the spiritual ascent of consciousness from the material world base to divine enlightenment, crown 33. Absolutely, beloved. Absolutely. Okay. So with that all being said, listen, I actually think that I might repost that video maybe sometime later this week. Okay. Alice says can't reproduce the spirit of a person. You absolutely cannot. You absolutely cannot. Okay, everybody's saying that's not him. Sosa said he should have left those fillers alone. Okay, Cyrus said dumb and dumber. Robert said let's ask the weigh-ins. Okay, you know, they would absolutely know, right? Danger said Bradley Cooper looking different too. Really? Nubia Sita said the 33 miracles of Jesus in the 33 years are viewed by mystics as allegories for the 33 vertebrae. Yes, they are, absolutely. And so is the 33 vertebrae of the spine. Also is in reference to Jesus dying at the age of 33. Okay, and so that all being said, the highest degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry is 33. Absolutely, the 33 degrees of Masonry. Listen. Sosa said, please repost the video, Queen. Okay. I absolutely will repost it, or I might just do another live about it, okay, and give you all even more information. But let me just say this. Melody Thomas said doppelgangers in full effect, okay? Now, with that all being said, yeah, I might just do that and give you all some more information, because here's the thing. I'm going to be doing a webinar at some point. I keep putting it off because I keep getting so busy, but I absolutely have some information that not too many people have, okay? I have some information that not too many people have. I have this unclassified document, okay, that just tells us some very interesting things that we'll get into, all right? So with that all being said, everyone please like and share, okay? Jay McClendon said Botox. It looks more like fillers. Okay, Sosa said Queen got all the information. Thank you, beloved. Jay McClendon said he changed the color of his eyes too. Okay, honey, let me say something. Claudette said, I miss our spiritual vitamins. You know what? I'm going to have to get back on there. We really need to be getting our spiritual vitamins these days, honey, with the whole spiritual warfare that we're engaged in right now. It's a battle between good and evil. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to get back on that channel. Okay, I have been slacking because I have some other stuff that I'm working on. That's the real reason. Okay, but so anyway, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. Also, double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, especially if you have not been receiving the notifications. Okay, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. This makes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why